Hello again, everybody. Welcome back. Your weekly Rinkcast. The Chicago Rinkcast team is here from therink.com. My name is Andy Campbell. I'm your host yet again this evening, and we're ready to talk some Blackhawk hockey and take a tour around the league. Joining me, we've got quite the crew here tonight. Ray Napientek is back, ladies and gentlemen, which is awesome for all of us, bringing a lot of spark. Ray, how you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks, Andy. How about yourself?
I am swell. I'm excited, ready to talk some hockey.
Absolutely.
And then we've got the Bardo, who's a regular here. How are we doing tonight, Bardo? What's going on, buddy?
Fantastic. Doing well.
Excellent. And then the gatekeeper is back again. We're so excited Jeff Osborn is back, co-founder of The Rink. What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I just want to say I'm here. I'm wearing my Seattle Kraken gear because while I am not renouncing my Chicago roots, I will be competing for the Seattle Kraken.
Awesome. Love it. And just joining us, Sean Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. Do not be deceived by the fan in the background. It will not take his head off. He's in a good enough position where he'll be safe. Rocking the 1980 Team USA jersey. Shawnee, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, just internet issues as always. And, we're in the Loyola Ramblers tonight because tournament time is coming up and everybody loves a good underdog. So the Loyola Ramblers are been an underdog the last couple of years. So, had to get on that bandwagon a couple of years ago.
Loyola.
And my grandfather is an alum of Loyola University. So.
Awesome. And the DePaul Blue Demons are hot too. We like seeing that in our Chicago hoop scene. So before we get going, quick shout out to our sponsor, puckhockey.com, puchcky.com. In all caps. Use the discount code The Rink in all caps. It's up there, as you can see the gatekeeper pointing to it. If you spend $100 there, you get a free t-shirt. That's pretty good stuff. So check it out. There's a lot of good Rink rats wear there. As you can see, Ray has got his hoodie on, which is brilliant, which is beautiful. Black background with the brightness, with the flare, the Rink colors. We love it. At any rate, let's get rolling here. Let's talk some Blackhawks hockey. A lot going on with the Hawks. Last week, we had a not-so-fun time talking about Rocky Wirtz's unbelievable outburst during the Tell Hall meeting. And as we move away from that conversation, what's really going on with the Hawks right now, which is more interesting than anything, is their search for a new general manager. And there are a couple names that have surfaced lately. One is our old buddy Peter Chiarelli, who the Blackhawks have interviewed. So we'll spend a hot second on that and maybe just end that conversation right now. And then a couple other names that have come up. One is Carolina Hurricanes GM Eric Tulske, or assistant GM.
Yep.
Assistant GM Eric Tulske. A big analytics guy. All of you that are into your heat maps out there are going, get Tulske, get Tulske. And then a perhaps more seasoned professional, Mathieu Darche.
I thought you were going to say Ray Napientek.
We did talk about that. Yeah, I was saving that for last.
Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
No.
So I guess, and to welcome him back, and let's just go right into it. Ray, outside of yourself, as a possible GM candidate, who do you like in this whole mix, and what do you see the Hawks doing here?
I've got to go with your analytics guy right now. I think when you're looking for a fresh face, I think when you're looking for somebody that brings a little bit more than just the former player or the former GM, somebody that's already done it. I know, like we just got done with the Bears search here in Chicago, and I barely even watched that. But hey, they've got to do this. They've got to do. It's just got to be the right person. So for me, I think Tulske probably brings a little bit more of a mix of hey, hockey mind, hockey guy. See it with your eye, but then also see it with the computer and try and mix the two. For me, it's also something that he might have a little bit of time to build an organization where somebody that might have, already done it doesn't get the time. You get fired in Boston, you leave in Edmonton, and now you're in a hurry up to try and do it here in Chicago. So I'd like to see him. I'd like to see, maybe one or two more names pop up. I think, with Olczyk and Hossa helping out, having a little bit of say and Sharpie, obviously, but, having a little bit more, this day and age type knowledge, I think is going to be helpful. And it's not like we all joke around, heat map, let me see his heat map. Oh, well, I know everything about the hockey player. But I think he brings a little bit of a combination of both, which is great for the Hawks. And then this is an 8 to 10 year turnaround. This isn't you're not walking in and saying, I plug in this guy, plug in this guy, and plug in this guy. Let's rock and roll. This is 2008. So I really do like Tulske.
Okay. Gate, where are you at with this whole thing? And we're also forgetting about Kyle. Forget about Kyle Davidson, who's still in the mix.
I don't
Jeff
know that
Greenberg.
I was just going to say the rules of this question are we can't talk about the stupid Cubs guy.
Okay. Well, we could bring him up.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
He's not a dumb guy. He went to Columbia Law School.
Oh, okay. I've got 3 or 4 Sox guys too.
Yeah.
One of them's my neighbor, so
Well, Kenny Williams, like we said, Ray, is going to be the minority candidate.
And I know 2 dumb people that went to Columbia, so that doesn't mean anything either.
Gate, are you feeling this analytics vibe, or do you have other?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they need something new. You can't go with the same, like a bunch of old guys. Just recycling the same old guys. I mean, they've got a culture problem too in the organization. From top to bottom, they had a culture problem, and we saw that. It was rotten. It was a bunch of older guys. Stan, not really as much, but I mean, he came from, his dad. So, they had this terrible culture problem, and you bring a bunch of old guys in here I'm gonna go out there on a limb and say there were some culture problems in some other organizations as well, based on the generation of those guys that were out there. I think you need to bring in the new lighter generation, bring in something a little fresh, a little different. You bring in the same thing, like they can't make mistakes now. Like if you're gonna fire everybody because of all that scandal and everything that happened, you got to bring some fresh stuff in. You can't bring in like Peter Chiarelli, who's been around the league all over the place.
No.
If you're gonna bring him in, I'm not necessarily against like bringing him for like something above GM, because like they mentioned on that one podcast where they need someone in between Rocky and the GM and stuff other than Danny to manage up, to try and manage Rocky, because he's now shown that he's kind of a loose cannon, and he may try to get too involved. He may try to interfere that would derail the rebuild or something like that. So they were mentioning like Edzo or a Chiarelli or something like that. I don't want Chiarelli making hockey, a bunch of hockey decisions, because he's shown that he makes a lot of poor ones.
Right.
So, you're right back to a Stan Bowman situation again with a guy with an ego who thinks he's better than he is. And let's bring some fresh new eyes in here. Let's bring a new culture, and let's try this thing. Let's see what's going on. I mean, the Greenberg thing. No, I can't see that. Just because for a general manager, I think you need to have some kind of hockey know-how, some kind of hockey background, some judging. You don't necessarily have to be a scout, like our very handsome Ray Napientek down there, but You have to have some kind of knowledge of hockey players, how they're in their edges, their hockey instinct and things like that. If you're a guy, he may be smart enough to like manage the cap and make some player, but you want some guy. You don't want to bring someone who's never done it in hockey ops before. You can't screw this up. You have to get this right, or at least break even. Like this can't go badly. If it goes badly, like you're really in trouble. Things are going bad enough as it is. So you got to hit the ground running, get someone with a little bit of experience in hockey, but it doesn't necessarily have, it could be a younger, fresher mind.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about hockey ops guys, Bardo, what's your take on Matthew Darche? I mean, because that's kind of who he is.
Yeah, I mean, he's less of an analytical guy from what I've read about him, and probably more of a hockey ops guy, as you said. To me, he would make probably a nice pairing with Davidson because he is more of the analytical guy. So if you kind of put the two minds together, maybe you have something there. But I mean, personally, I'm more in favor of Tulske because the organization has talked a lot about building a modern hockey operation. And to me, that's kind of where it's going. It's going down the analytical road. He does have some hockey background, or you could bring him in along with somebody else in that senior advisory role, whatever it is. But to me, I mean, as Gates said, they got to get this right. I think the Cubs guys is the absolute wrong way to go. When you're looking at a huge rebuild that's not going to take, a day to figure out, you need somebody who is, as Gates said, done this before, or somebody who has, the chops in hockey that can do this. You can't just bring a baseball guy in and expect it to work. I just don't see that happening.
Shawnee, you want to argue that baseball side for us?
I mean, all right. Well, I guess
I'm just curious your take. I know you.
So
you've been big. You've been big on a Cubs guy coming in.
Erroneous
right.
on both counts.
No, that's not okay. Gates giving you a tough time about it. I'm not.
Okay, so
I want your perspective on the outside angle.
Okay, so the outside angle, for the outside angle perspective, they interviewed a guy who has seen how a front office is built before, whether it's in hockey or any other sport. He's seen how a front office is built. He understands, at least he should, seeing from people in the Cubs organization how good people are picked to be put in the right position. Whether you're biased about that or not, a lot of people from the Cubs front office have been picked to manage other teams. The general manager of the San Francisco Giants, Scott Harris, was an assistant GM with the Cubs. Also, in baseball, the big thing is they're trying to look for market inefficiencies, market inequalities, market deficiencies. They're trying to exploit those. So I think that's why Greenberg was interviewed. I don't think he's the right fit currently because they can't miss on this. Now, if they had like a ton of success and they were just trying to change it up, and they thought about maybe you bring Greenberg in with a hockey guy and you make him co-general manager or something like that. But right now he's not the right fit. Also, there's a connection because Jamie Faulkner's husband is executive VP of marketing for the Cubs. They brought Jed Hoyer in for as a consultant, so maybe he's just getting his guy an interview just to get him out there, get him experience on getting the interview process. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of why they did it. The guy I really want, I'd be happy with either Matthew Darche or Tulske. Yeah. And Tulske, obviously we've seen like the proof is in since he's joined the Carolina Hurricanes, like they've gotten better each year. And I think he plays a part in that. I mean, he's been publishing advanced statistical analysis since 2011. Yeah. He's been published on 538. I'm just listing off some of his accomplishments. He's also been in the Washington Post. The guy is a genius. Like, he has a Bachelor of Art in Chemistry and Physics from Harvard. He has a doctorate in chemistry from Berkeley. Like, the guy is super smart. Also, it's kind of in the same vein of what a lot of front offices are going like. You look at baseball, it's all the Ivy League smart guys. You look at hockey's just going to start going to that smart guys. I mean, even Darche was like a players union rep. Well, he worked. He was
chief labor negotiator for the NHLPA, and that's why I like him.
Yeah, he was an imp. Didn't he work? He worked for Del Mar International, a Canadian customs brokerage and freight forwarder, like VP of sales and marketing. So he understands how to be like an executive. So that's why I think those are the two guys. But like everybody said, Tulske's probably either guy's going to work because they're going to understand. They both come from good organizations. They both studied under good front office people. Darche worked with Yzerman. Obviously, Tulske's worked with Ron Francis and the general managers down there in Carolina. So those are my two choices. But I don't think interviewing Greenberg was as blasphemous as everybody else is saying. Just a different perspective, a different way of looking at things.
There's probably some White Sox fans out there listening, and probably some White Sox fans on this podcast who really don't understand anything conceptual about really anything.
I mean, they had Kenny Williams going for it for how many years when they finished 81 and 81. So
This just in, Ray Napientek is interviewing with the Blackhawks right now, as you can see.
I got Ozzie Guillen on the phone. Hold on.
Here's folks. I like Matthew Darche in this whole thing, and here's why. And it's fine. I incredibly biased high school teammate of mine. Fine, I'll throw that out there. But McGill goes to McGill. works all the way up through the minors, has played at so many different levels professionally, including overseas.
Won the Calder Cup with the Milwaukee Admirals.
Won the Calder Cup, but he's been such a good advocate as a player rep, and I really think that we're talking about improving, the culture as far as, do players feel protected? Do players feel empowered in that sense? And all those questions that the Blackhawks were dodging. Darch seems like he fits the bill for that. He's incredibly bright, 45 years old, really well seasoned. And I do like some ex-players in management roles. I don't always think it's a death sentence. He's not like an old school, I just came out of the locker room and now I'm just going to be moved up, into upper management. So I appreciate the analytics. Yeah, maybe Tulske's the guy. Fine. But I do like the player's knowledge and someone who's been in so many different locker rooms to understand not only the grind, but how players are treated at different professional levels, their salary structures, things of that nature. He could be really good at negotiating with players and agents in that sense.
He won't give out no movement clauses like their party favors.
Well, let's just go. Let's kind of look at the past 3 to 5 years and what teams have been successful and teams that have learned how to kind of work the salary cap. The Lightning, they have been the class of the cream of the crop almost, as far as being able to work the salary cap, be able to get players to come in on lower deals, being able to get players to sign reasonable deals rather than overinflated deals to stick around and win, and all that stuff that's gone on. And they're the culture that you kind of want in the Blackhawks organization.
Absolutely.
There's no scandals. There's nothing.
They weaponize Brent Seabrook's LTIR money. They manipulate things in such a way where they know exactly what they're doing in that regard.
I'm just going to throw this out there really quick. Lastly, look at what Las Vegas has done by going out, and they went out and all the stuff that they've been doing. They've been super aggressive. They're they get Eichel. Everyone's like, well, how are they going to afford it? Well, look what happened today. All miraculously, Mark Stone's on going to probably be on LTIR, which is going to open up all this room so that Eichel can slide right into the lineup. They masterfully work the cap, just like they did in Tampa with Kucherov. You know what? If that's within the rules, why don't you bring a guy in that can do stuff like that? Because you had Stan going here, I don't have any cap room. I don't know what I can do. I can't do anything around here. My hands are tied, blah, blah, blah. My job is hard. Well, you know what? Some of these other teams have been able to work through those problems, and he didn't, and they need somebody in there now who can work through these problems.
Well, he didn't work through it. It got presented to him. It's the only reason Antoine Vermette was in a Blackhawk uniform was Patrick Kane's injury. So, but that was – Stan didn't do that himself. That was just –
And didn't Kucherov have, shoulder surgery? He just came back earlier than expected? I think they were writing him off for the whole year.
Yeah.
Well, Mark Stone apparently can't touch his toes, but then by the time game 1 rolls around, he's all of a sudden going to be doing jumping jacks. So,
I don't hate on any of that because it's it's within the rules. Just like when they were signing those 12-year contracts and stuff. That was within the rules. They learned how to work around it and maneuver through there, and then they come back retroactively and they punish everybody for doing something that was legal at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
There's just more people in the organization.
They're finding a weakness in the system and they're exploiting it. And that's what all good teams in any sport does.
Let me pose this question because I'm actually curious what you guys think. I know we're talking about the Hawks interviewing for a GM role, but once everything's all said and done, how many new faces do you think they actually hire for the front office? I'm curious to see what you guys think.
Well, whoever the new GM is, he should be able to pick. He should be able to pick the rest of his own front office, right? Assuming he'll probably get stuck with Kyle Davidson, but other than that,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. Do they go back to they're talking about guys like Sharp and Hossa being on the search committee, and everyone just kind of winces and goes, is this the route they're going to keep going? Or are they just going to keep bringing people back?
Let me bring something really quickly up, and this our boy John Jekyll and I were talking about this kind of situation, and he was saying bring someone in as a figurehead above GM like Marian Hossa, universally respected, that kind of guy to be the face of that kind of thing, and kind of run things between Rocky and, like we were saying, this Chiarelli thing earlier. But he was suggesting, he's suggested this for a long time, by the way. But I want to give him credit for it. Because give him credit where credit is due. It was his kind of idea of saying, bring in Marian Hossa, who's respected by everybody, loved by the fan base, the whole thing, to be an executive in that in between area.
And that's
So
what
when you say
Chiarelli.
between area, just being being a mediator between Rocky.
Well, it's like president of hockey operations or something like that, or president of player personnel.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he runs the business side. Like, he manages the books. He runs the business side. He's also like he's the public face. So when they go out and do, like, they introduce a hire, like, he's there, the general manager's there, and Danny's there. Rocky's not involved in the conversation. Or like, they have to go, hey, Rocky, we need money. We want to sign this contract. He would go to, the GM would go to him and he'd go up to Rocky, or vice versa. Like, that's how it worked. You don't want to be like,
if Chiarelli's hired, I could almost guarantee you that he's going to bring in Hossa. There's a I mentioned this on the last podcast, is that there's a connection from their days in Ottawa. I think Chiarelli was on the staff when they drafted Hossa.
well, I thought he was going to bring in Ray to be his, like, guy.
I was thinking he'd bring in Lucic.
I was thinking him and Ray, they could have, like, they could debut, like, the same hairstyles walking around the front office there,
Yeah.
Hey, you missed that conversation in the pre-chat about.
Hey, Ray, question.
Yeah,
Are the Hawks interviewing the right guys? I mean, I actually think that they are. Okay, I think they're doing the right things. Do you think that they're interviewing the right guys? Are they missing anything here?
Well, I don't know if I can come up with a list, but I think they're doing the right things. They've got a wide variety. I mean, I know we joke around about the Cubs guy, but I think when you're looking outside the box, they're doing all right there. I mean, there's a few players and former players or former assistant GMs, but then you're doing this mid-season and stuff like that, and then we talk about Florida and Vegas. One thing that's nice is if I sat down somebody from Florida and Vegas, I'd ask them about the income tax and what they know about it.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot that goes in that you don't think about, but for me, I think they're doing all the right things. It's just, I just don't want them to leave anybody on the table, but they've been dragging their feet for so long, and now you got to get it done.
And now the trade deadline's coming up,
Well,
so
that's
your lame duck AGM now is in charge of unloading some of these pieces that you have here. And what pieces do you unload for the future? The ones for now are easy because it doesn't really matter. You just get anyone that's up this year, you can let them go.
And when do they make the announcement, and who's making those moves? That's what I still am not totally clear on.
I saw an article somewhere, I think it was Laz or Powers, said something about that the Blackhawks, the feeling is that this is Kyle Davidson's team for the
deadline.
For the deadline, that he's going to be making the moves and he's going to be driving the bus.
Well, that only makes sense. I mean, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
Maybe they do just stick with Davidson. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, they could. And even with, like we were talking about the person in between, for me, it's an easy slide in. If you want to say, hey, Eddie O, if you want to be our president and get off the road and you want to be home more and, everything that's been going on in his life, you're our guy. They love you. The fans love you. Anytime you talk, people are going to listen. You're genuine, and you've got a PR mess that, it can't be any worse than what they've done. So, for me, it's just something that kind of makes sense. It gives you that buffer in between, and then somebody that they can go to. I mean, he was Crosby's first coach. He is a 20-year NHL player, how many years it was. So, those are things that I think help. Same thing that, if you do bring in somebody that wasn't a GM before, I might bring in a capologist. I might bring in an assistant GM that was dealing with, talking with agents and stuff like that. It's not just like, if almost a bear. I hate to go back to it. Like, hey, Ryan Pace, here's your phone. Good luck. And it felt like that. Right. I'm gonna hire my guy, and I'm gonna surround the hell out of him with males and females that know what they're doing. And that's just, I just don't know if they're gonna get that right. But I think that's something I think it would be an easy role for Eddie to just say, hey, listen, I want you to be our guy. What does it take? You're going to be a Blackhawk for life. This is going to be your position. You're going to hire the next GM. You might hire the next GM after that.
Your kid might be the announcer.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So
he's very good, by the way.
He is good. Well, in the spirit of that, talking about how it's going to be Kyle Davidson's moves and Kyle Davidson's trade deadline. We got some Hawks for sale. We're definitely a seller's market here in Chicago yet again. Thankfully, I think that early enough on that the Hawks were willing to admit that. In years past with Stanbo, it was just, no, we like our team, we like our team, we like our team, over and over and over.
Can confirm.
Yeah, exactly. But here we are, and the big piece is Flower. Big piece is Marc-André Fleury. And recent reports, a couple weeks ago, it seemed that Washington was, the more than likely going to be his destination. And then as of yesterday, everyone's reporting Washington's out of the mix. It's off the table. So if it's not Washington, Bardo, what are some possibilities for the Flower? What can they get for the Flower? What can they package with Marc-André Fleury to possibly make this worthwhile? And then where does Marc-André Fleury say, yeah, I'm okay with this? I think that we're also forgetting that he can veto what? A list of 10 teams where he says, you're not going to trade me there. Is that how it works?
Mm-hmm. And you want to know who I think where he's going to go? Washington. Buy it for a second. This is what agents do for practically a living. They basically, deliver stories in the media. This is a negotiating ploy. I do not buy it. I think, the Hawks are going to talk to multiple teams. The price is going to come down. The Hawks should be aiming high for this. It looks like there's going to be a ton of sellers this year from what I can see. So it is going to be a bit of a buyer's market, but, Marc-André Fleury is kind of the crown jewel, at least of the goaltending market. Yeah. So you're going to have
But it does look like there are going to be several goalies on the market.
Absolutely. Yeah. But Fleury, we know, is going to be the best one available. So it's like, do you want him or do you want a year and a half of Anton Khudobin or something like that, which is, to me, is garbage. So to me, I think it's going to be Washington. I really believe that. I mean, Pittsburgh, maybe, because, he could say, I really want to go back to Pittsburgh. I don't want to touch Washington, but I'm not sure Pittsburgh is going to make a move there. I don't see Colorado or Edmonton, but I think it's going to be Washington.
I think Edmonton's totally off the table now.
Yeah.
There's no reason for Edmonton right now because I don't think they can turn this around.
Right. Yeah. They might want to. I mean, Keith's hurt. They're Mike Smith. They're a disaster.
If you haven't heard, they fired their coach today. Yeah.
Fired Tippett today.
Sean, Caleb Jones back for first rounder. Make that push.
There you go. There it is. Johnny, if he goes to Washington or he goes elsewhere, what does he fetch?
So I think with the goalie market kind of being so flooded, I think he probably will fetch a second-round pick and something else, whether it's a lesser-tier prospect or a third-round pick. I don't think he's going to fetch a first-round pick unless somebody's absolutely desperate to get him. I mean, if the Boston Bruins are that desperate and they want to give up their first-round pick for him, do it in a heartbeat because obviously Boston needs a goalie with Tuukka Rask hanging it up. So that's the only kind of on the fringe team I can think of that would be that desperate that they've got one more run with those veteran guys. Yeah. A veteran goalie would be like that. We'll give up a first rounder, but I think he nets a second round pick at his ceiling.
Yeah, Boston's interesting because Patrice Bergeron just had a really bad injury. The Marshawn incident, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But he's a pending UFA, and so a lot of people still think that they're dangling DeBrusk as draggling. Sorry,
I suggest you let that one marinate.
Well, I was thinking of Dylan Strome when I was saying DeBrusk, and I went with Draggle.
I thought that was maybe like a new move, like instead of dangle, it was a draggle.
When I think of Dylan Strome, I think of Fraggle Rock, and then so it came out Draggle. But I think DeBrusk is he's their Dylan Strome. I mean, he's a 15-point guy who has these moments of wow, and then 5 games straight of you forget that he's in the lineup.
Wow, this is breaking news. You said that Dylan Strome gives people moments of wow.
We don't
even get that out of you usually.
Yeah. Well, no, I'll tell you that Detroit game, everyone was like, "Wow, Dylan Strome's back, everybody." So,
what about the Pittsburgh Penguins?
Yeah, I like that. Jari's playing pretty well, though.
Yeah, but he gets hurt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Flower would love to go back.
I mean, as a backup, sure, you could bring him in as a backup. Jari, I mean, he was an all-star goalie. His numbers have been great, but I don't trust him. But yeah.
Well, then I don't know if your return will be great if you send him to Pittsburgh. I mean, you're just going to get nothing back if they do have Jari in the fold. I still like the Washington deal. The other thing the Hawks really need to consider, or Kyle Davidson needs to consider, is you need to package this with something where you're going to get a return for the future. And honestly, it could be someone like Brandon Hagel. I mean, if Washington is interested in Fleury and you put Hagel in a packet for that, then you are talking about a first-round pick plus possibly a good prospect.
Yeah, quite frankly, a first-round pick is just very late in the first round. This is not like something we're getting. Not getting a lot of
almost a second-round pick.
Late first.
Hold on a second, Brian. I got Ron on the other line. Hold on, Ron. I got Brian on the other line. Yeah,
Ray's making deals. He's moving and he's shaking.
Hey,
are we watching Billy Bean and Moneyball down there or what?
You want him in your division, or do you want him on your team, or just in your division? Right? Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll take your first. I know it's going to be late, but that'll work. It's better than the first I got now.
Exactly, which is none.
I mean, look what Robin Leonard fetched. A second, just like Sean said, a second-round pick and a prospect. And that prospect ended up to be Slava Demon, who's a nobody now. But
look who made the deal.
Yeah, very cool.
That's true.
That's the problem. So it's like,
I mean, he was
somebody in here.
stockpiling third rounders.
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing with Stan. When Leonard was one of the hottest goalies in the NHL, and you probably could have got top for him, like a first-round pick, when he was up there in the top 5 of the league in stats. And Stan just kind of sat on him like they were going to make the playoffs when everybody who had a brain knew they weren't going to make the playoffs. And he sat on him so long that the market dried up for him.
Yeah,
I'm still shocked that he got Troy Brouwer for a first-round pick. I mean, somebody on the Caps organization must have been drunk that night. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
We've talked about this in the rink chat. Like Ryan Hartman got a first-round pick. Like, there's some weird deals out there where first-round picks were,
Paul Gostad, if you remember him.
Yeah.
But I don't, I still, Bardo, I still like the Caps as the target too, because Brian McClellan, I mean, he gave up dearly in a trade with Detroit last year. Mm-hmm. And boy, did he cave in and get fleeced in that deal for Anthony Mantha. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I mean, you're going to want to keep Ovechkin only has so much time left, although he's clearly not slowing down.
No,
but they've got their group that they want to still make a 2-3 year run with right now. So I like that. What about Colorado? Is that just thinking silliness because it's in the division? But why not if you're Colorado? I mean, you've got your guys.
I think, I like your idea about putting Hagel in the deal because maybe it gets you into the late first round and then gets you a prospect as well. Because Hagel, to me, is just the perfect bottom 6 player on a playoff team. So, I mean, you can play them all up and down the lineup. We've seen him play 1,000,000,001 times. But to me, I think if you package those two up, that to me could get you back into that first round, as you said, and maybe get you another prospect too.
Colorado's going to have to shed some money, though, boys.
Yep.
They only have projected cap space. Current cap is $891,667, and projected cap space at $90K.
Well, what do they have? What do they have as far as like pending UFAs or anything like that? Who they'd be willing to part with?
Wait, this just in: Sam Girard is on long-term IR. He stubbed his toe. Maybe out for the season. He may be back the day before
back for the playoffs. Yeah.
Well, isn't Nathan McKinnon hurt? I thought
McKinnon is hurt, but I don't think he's on out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen weirder things happen. Say the Hawks eat half the salary of Fleury's deal, and they launder him through another, like they did with the Vegas deal, where they laundered him through Toronto. I mean, it can work. They can make it happen. Sure. I'm not as worried about the cap part of it. It just where he wants to go and what the return is going to be.
Yeah. All good things. Who else is a good trade chip for the Hawks right now? We talked about Hagel. I would sell Hagel right now in a second, truly. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't the way he plays, maybe he could have a Hartman-esque season every now and then, but who's he going to be when he's 30 years old? And it's not a knock on him. It's just his style of play.
Yep.
You know, you see guys like that flame out quickly. I love the guy. But is his value ever going to be higher to trade right now before you have to re-sign him again at some point?
No, I think Hagel's the guy that is a very good chip that you have. I think DeHaan is another one too. I think teams are always looking for, second, third pairing defensemen. I mean, he's only 30. I know he's had a lot of injuries, but he's actually playing really, really well. He can kill penalties, block shots. We all know that. We know how valuable defensemen are in the playoffs, and you can't have enough of them. So, to me, I think that's a lock for him to be gone. I mean,
Gustafson should be gone too.
I honestly,
who's going to want him?
Ray,
they acquired him a couple of years ago.
And they all dumped him. All those teams dumped him.
No, I don't think you're not going to get anything for DeHaan.
You're not going to get anything for him, but man, I honestly think there may be a market for him as a 6, 7, 8, sit in the box, throw you on the power play type guy.
Could be, but what do you get? A fifth?
Play 7 minutes a night, fantastic. Just don't.
You get a lottery ticket.
I think you get a 4th, 5th round pick, but again, that's where a new GM can come in and maybe find you a gem. Who could maximize those lottery tickets. And again, look, the more lottery tickets you have, the better your chances are.
Oh, definitely, if you can do it, sell them all.
Yeah.
Just not blown away by DeHaan as a trade chip.
I think he's going to make you a 4th at best.
Yeah, you were shaking your head when I mentioned Hagel, Ray. You disagree?
I was shocked that you wanted to get that he would be a trade chip for you. I think he's probably, outside of Kane, DeBrincat, and maybe Seth Orr, he's, nobody's taking that contract. For Hagel, it's got to be him, right? Who else? And we're talking skaters, not goaltending.
Right.
Who else are you going to give? Who else are you going to get? Doc Grushev. We've been.
Kubalik. I don't know what you do.
Stillman, Entwistle.
Yeah.
Murphy.
Ryan Carpenter.
Some of them still have linked on deals. So on their deal, I don't. Who else are you trading?
Actually, Hagel has length on his deal.
He's got 2 more years at 1.5.
Hagel's got 2 more years on his deal, so that also comes in too. He's affordable. He's young. He's playing high level hockey. You could get something pretty good for him.
Imagine
in a package
line, on a good team on the third line.
Yeah, maybe even the 4th line.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. It's just, who else are you trading? Nobody. You can't.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I love Brandon Hagel. I'd love if he was around for a long time, but I
was just shocked. As shocked as you wanted to throw a no movement clause at Strome, I was just as shocked.
To be fair.
Yeah. Oh, Dylan Strome.
And that's the thing. There's nothing on this roster. I'm saying the new guy has to come in and go, all right, Kane, you want out? Taves can.
Yep, and start over.
We're going to have to get very creative. And let's talk about, is there a possibility Patrick Kane gets moved this summer? I know last time we were on, everyone was like, Patrick Kane's going to be a Hawk for life.
No, I didn't think he said he was going to be a Hawk for life. I think what Gate and I said was that they're just going to let him walk. We said Jonathan Taves would be the Hawk for life. Kane, they're not going to approach him. They're just going to let him walk for nothing.
That's correct. That's what you said. That is what you said. But
actually, they might even approach him, but they approach him with such a shitty offer, pardon my French, that
offer?
He's just going to walk. He's going to be able to get more money on the open market. I
didn't even know her, right?
So you don't think the new GM would come in and say, Patrick, what do you think about waiving your clause?
Yeah.
Do you want to
win or what?
Because we can move you right now. If you want to win, we can move you right now.
My plan is to win 20 games the next 3 years. You want out or what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want a lottery pick every year for the next 3 years.
You've done more for this organization than anybody, most likely. Maybe in the top 2 or 3 if we want to argue that.
Leave it up to him.
You want out? You want out, or you just want to? Are you good with 75 to 95 points for the next 3 years and watching me go to the podium in the top 10 for 3 years?
After we've already wasted 6 years of your prime,
Yep.
So,
maybe you can call Stan and thank him for that.
Absolutely. Taves gone. Jones gone. What can I get for you?
Yeah, what we think should happen and what will really happen are 2 different things. We found that out long ago. But, sure, approach him. I don't know if they will, though. I don't know, And
if he says no, that's his right. That's part of the.
You gave him.
He says nope. I'm good here. I'm not moving my family. All right, thanks, man. Hey, don't.
A
This
lot's
is
going to depend on what the vision is of this new GM. If this new GM comes in and says, we're going to go full on rebuild, then you know what? He's gone.
Yeah.
He's not gone because he can still say, no, I'm going to stay and not, because some people are just comfortable where they're at. They don't want to change up their lives until they have to. Like he has a kid and all this other stuff. So he could, not to a baseball analogy, I know Charles Johnson and the Colorado Rockies, they were out of contention. He was on a big bloated contract. They wanted to move into contender. He used his no trade clause because he didn't want to move. Didn't want to move his family. So I think sometimes we forget that just because you're playing on a crap team and stuff like that, you don't want to move.
Charles Johnson throw out. That's deep.
I was going to say,
Oh.
I wasn't expecting Charles Johnson.
Deep cuts.
Shane
There was
Doan.
a kid
Other
out of
Shane Doan.
Tennessee High School. I mean, that's deep right there, Charles
Yep,
Johnson.
Shane
Yeah.
Doan used to leave the desert. He was like, "No, I'm just gonna stay here."
And then he
Let's
wanted
get
to be
Ray
traded
some
to a
liquor and do
contender.
this.
And he
Ray,
had no
what do you
value.
need? Another 40? 2, Jimmy. Good man.
What do
Would you rather hit in Colorado or San Diego? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the Claude Giroux right now. Claude Giroux is probably the hottest name on the possible trade market right now. You're hearing some other names. PK Subban is another one that's out there. It'd be really interesting to see where a lot of these guys land. But Giroux I think he's a full no movement clause too, so it's completely up to him.
Yep.
What he wants to do and how that whole thing happens. But
You could actually argue that the Eastern Conference playoff teams are pretty much set.
They're done.
And it's basically down to seeding. So you unless the Islanders decide that they're going to win eight in a row and go on some sort of a crazy run because they have like 8 games in hand, but that's not going to happen.
No.
But yeah, I mean, I think all 8 teams are sorted out, and now it's a matter of seeding, and the rest of those teams could all be sellers theoretically.
Could you imagine
Flyers, Islanders, all
Claude Giroux? I mean, can you imagine just being like, "Hey, I'm going to add Claude Giroux to my playoff roster"?
that's pretty sick.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, what is he making right now?
I'm looking.
Probably a
I
lot.
think he's got a big ticket. Yeah, he's got a real
Yeah.
big ticket.
I mean, but would the Flyers ever do business with the New York Rangers? Who knows?
I'd have to, give me a lot back. But I mean, you're going to win 6 out of every 10 draws. You got a guy that's going to defend. You got a guy that's going to win every big face-off, even though they don't matter in the playoffs.
Right.
He's
8275 is what he's making.
Yeah, it's a big ticket.
He's a threat every time he's on the ice. And
Yep. And the blue shirts, what do you think, Bardo? Blue shirts, Claude Giroux? Or is that just wishful
possible?
thinking?
I think like what Ray said, if you're trading him within the division, you're arch rival from right down I-95. I mean, I don't know. I'm not giving away for nothing. You better give me some quality prospects in there.
They're going to have to give a lot for that if they do it.
It's not going to be cheap.
No, and then they're going to have to figure out how to re-sign him too.
Yeah.
As a pending UFA. So
Could be.
I mean,
Could be like
the Rangers are definitely looking for help up front. So
yeah, could be like, what were you going to say, Shawnee?
Sidney Ponson did that in baseball. Got traded from Baltimore to Houston and then re-signed with Baltimore.
Nobody cares, Sean.
Does anyone
Nobody
have a baseball almanac handy?
Vasilevsky, Stamkos, and Hedman go on long-term injured reserve.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
It could very well happen.
I mean, he's just he's such a good hockey player that.
Oh yeah, premier.
Also,
talent.
would Chuck Fletcher does he really want to trade the captain of his team? That's gonna be a big...
it's up to him, isn't it? I mean, that's one of those.
They're in trouble too. So they may be in the midst of a full rebuild.
Do you pat him on the back on the way out and say thanks, or do you get something for him?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't. If Giroux goes in and says, "Sure, let's waive it, let's do it." And one team that has freed up some space and they've got Bill Guerin is the Minnesota Wild.
I was just
Giroux could be a really nice fit there.
As a rental only, because they're going to be in cap hell once all those penalties hit from all those buyouts. So they can only rent now. They actually have to go harder now than maybe any team, because following this year, they're going to have to really break things down. They're going to be hurt, and they're going to have like $7-8 million of dead cap space coming up in like the next 2 years.
They're going to have to move one of those
They've got some
defensemen.
good prospects though, so they're going to be
If you're-
they've marinated those guys, and they're going to be hopefully up and ready for them.
But if you're Bill Guerin, you're going up to ownership and you're saying this is why we got rid of Suter and Parisi for reasons like this.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely.
like,
Yeah.
let's go do
Yeah,
it.
imagine him on the top line.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But Kaprizov, ooh,
Oh man,
oh
that
boy.
would be, that'd be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be a
That'd be
decent.
all right. Kaprizov, Foligno. You still got Hartman scoring for him. Yeah, they'd be all right.
But
Yeah,
it's
a
like,
couple other
who
guys.
is that center that you have that's going to go up against, the Colorados and McKinnon and all those other guys? They don't have that.
Erickson Eck.
Erickson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Giroux's no bum. I mean, if they got Giroux,
Yeah, you put him on the first
he
line.
plays with
center.
those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That should be
Erickson
interesting.
should be your second line.
I want to defer to the gatekeeper on a name coming out of Seattle here. A lot of people are talking about Calle Yarncrook.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, as far as Seattle goes, if they get an offer for anybody, they should take it. Like if you can get, they should be building through the draft, getting draft picks, filling up this organization. Because like we were kind of talking in private earlier about, this team was not going to be Vegas. No team was going to be Vegas. You got to build your system through the draft, make it nice and robust, use your scouting staff and things like that. So Kelly Yarncrook, if he wants, if someone wants him, boom, out the door. Mark Giordano, out the door.
Yeah, for sure.
Any of those guys,
Third line.
especially Giordano, any of those guys.
Yeah. Those could be like Yarncrook could be a good fit in New York, Bardo. Could be a decent fit for Florida. We lost Sean. It's always 45 minutes in we lose Sean. I don't know how that happens. It's like there's a clock.
Nobody cares, Sean.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Well, he's back.
He's been the captain his whole time in Seattle. I don't know, but
Yeah. Can't trade your captain, right?
can't trade him.
No.
Jonathan Taves, where would you go and who would take you?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now
Yeah, no, Yarncroc, I mean, I've been watching Yarncroc, obviously, clearly, because I've been covering them all year long, and he's been really impressive. He kind of reminds me of Matthias Janmark with the Blackhawks when he was here. He was kind of that kind of player.
Yeah.
And, sure, Matthias Janmark went to, Vegas, for the stretch run. Kelly Yarncroc could do the same thing for a team. I mean, I'm not going to say Vegas, but another team. He's a good, solid third-line player that can help shut people down, and he's got experience in the playoffs and that whole thing, and you want, hey, bring him back to the Central Division because he's used to all that when he played for the Predators. So
yeah, I'd like to see him in Florida on the Panthers. I think he'd be a nice fit there
That's a good fit
to
too.
go for a little run with them. Yeah, because they're awfully good.
Who would you rather have? Would you ever have Hagel or him?
Ooh,
I would say Hagel because he's on the cheaper deal. He's only 23 years old, and they've got 2 years left on his contract while Yarncroc is up. Yarncroc's a little older. So if you're going for a pure rental situation, you're going to go with, Yarncroc. But if you're going to go with something that you want to hang on to for a little bit, use his cheap salary to be able to fill in the gaps in your lineup, then I'm going to go probably with Hagel.
Yeah.
Jay, what's your take on Giordano? You think he could really help a team? Like
Oh,
top
for
four,
sure.
or is he
Yeah,
more
yeah.
like-
Oh,
is
yeah.
he more second, third pair?
Middle four. I mean, they're playing him top pair now, and like last night he got him. He played with Adam Larson last night, and they got crushed in their own end. I don't think I wouldn't put him on my top pair anywhere, but you could put him in as like a middle pair, kind of like a Johnny Oduya type situation was here in Chicago, kind of a number 4 guy where you could use him on the power play because he definitely gets used on the power play a lot. And you could play him in a shorthanded. You could play him in every scenario. He's not going to kill you. He's got the leadership, the whole thing. So, yeah, he's definitely got some value. If you need a guy like a number 4 defenseman, there's your guy right there.
See,
I think
team,
it-
I don't know if they can make the money work. It's Toronto. I think he would be such a good fit in Toronto.
oh yeah, they could definitely.
I heard rumors even earlier in the season that he could get traded back to Calgary for the stretch run.
That makes sense
So
too.
Also
who
makes
knows?
sense. I could,
Because they love him there. They didn't want him to go.
yeah, if Boston doesn't go for a goalie, I could see him there as well.
Yeah.
Because they definitely need help on their blue line going for that last run. Speaking of Boston, just want to make one more shift here. Brad Marchand, fellas. Jeez. Everyone saw it. Everyone knows what happened the other night with Tristan Jarry. goaltender involved, which brings up a lot of emotions with our goaltender in the room. But at the same time, Jari, so obviously I live in the Boston area, and so people are just incensed. Oh, the league hates Marchand, all this stuff. Okay, well, Brad Marchand is a fantastic hockey player. He has earned his reputation. I'm going to say that. And
he's licked people. I think he's bit people. He's cheap shot people. Like he's done. He
did the ring gesture, I believe, against Vancouver.
He has a rap sheet, as they say.
He gets so caught up, and he was suspended for that slew foot in November that a lot of Boston fans will say, oh, that was BS, which it wasn't. He did it. And so he's on the repeat offender list because of his most recent suspension. You can forget about all of his suspensions, which I'm sure he has 8, 9, 10 of them. But so he got 6 games, which, is probably more about a repeat offender rule. If you watch it, you go, wow, he popped the goalie in the head who had a mask on. He gave him a little love tap. So maybe some people are saying that's not that bad. The other thing about Brad Marchand is the league really doesn't like this guy. I mean, he made some comments about the Olympics and that whole thing that didn't go over very well. He might be one of the, if not the best left winger in the NHL this year, who was not asked to represent his team at the All-Star game. So is the league out to get Marchand, or did he earn this 6 games? Thoughts? I want to go with Sean.
He earned it. It's his 8th suspension. His career longest, he's got 2 5-game suspensions before this. He's a repeat offender.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but your reputation precedes him for a reason. And this it was uncalled for. There was no reason for it. Jari was just shutting him down. That's literally what it was. So you decided to take a cheap shot at him.
Yeah.
I think he deserved it. 6 games, honestly. I thought he was going to get more, but I thought he was going to get 8 to 10. But
wow,
6 games for the Boston Bruins. That, if anything, what he did was he was selfish. He's costing his team more by not being there, especially in a team like Boston who needs him on the ice right now.
Yeah. Ray, what do you think? Punishment is justified?
Yeah, he deserved it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, repeat offender. We all know he's a knucklehead. He can't control his emotions. It's silliness, to be honest. I think it's something that, just the old school guy in me is, that's why you still have fighting in the NHL for a knucklehead like that who takes a shot at my goaltender. I'm just going to, do what I need to do. And the game's different. I don't have 2 or 3 of those guys in the lineup anymore, but stuff like that, that's what's going to get you hurt. That's going to get somebody else hurt. Turns into just now am I calling in the security? There's a lot that goes into it. You start swinging sticks at people's heads. We know that. So yeah, it's a goaltender. I get it, and you might have just been trying to get under his skin a little bit more. And, that's what Marshawn does. And it was absolutely 100%. Could have been more and I would have been fine with it.
What I like about it is that I think the NHL has gotten in a bad habit of the last 5-6 years of the suspension is always dependent on how badly the player is hurt,
right,
and not the intent. Where they actually finally did this on, can't do that. Mm-hmm. That's enough. What do you think?
It's right in the wheelhouse that I would have expected. He's earned all of it. You're going to be, if you're going to be, earmuffs everybody. If you're going to be a shitheel, you're going to earn this stuff, and you're going to, people are going to keep an eye out for you. But this was so egregious. What? I can't even understand how you do that. You see that stuff you see in beer league. That's that stuff you see in a professional sports league. So it's crazy. And he deserves every bit of it. Ray said, this is what you get when you're swinging sticks at people's head, unless it's the Michigan move. Then you could swing it at the goalie's head.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sour goalie. Good. You feeling the same way on all this?
I don't think it was enough, to be honest with you, because quite frankly, there's, so much of this BS in the game, and it's just going to keep happening. And somebody, God forbid, is going to get killed. If it just keeps happening and these suspensions aren't bigger or whatever it is, or I mean, right now it's like, look at Tom Wilson and what he did, I think it was the end of last season, the games against the Rangers, and he got nothing or whatever it was, a game or two.
The thing on Panarin, that was ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and then, Jacob Trouba this year, and the rule says that if you follow through, but they say on the other side of their mouth that we're trying to get rid of hits to the head. Well, which one is it?
Yeah.
You're basically enabling it, but you're not. So this is a bigger problem than just a Marchand thing. Yes, there's a lot of, people like Marchand and Wilson that need to be punished, much heavier because they have this, rap sheet, and they're not going to stop. They'll sit 5-6 games and take a, week or two off. You got to hit them a little bit harder than this. Take a quarter of the season or whatever it is.
Foligno got that 2-game suspension for kneeing the guy in the head the same night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times is PK Sluban, as in
Slewfooter. He is the biggest culprit of them all.
Unbelievable. I mean, how he gets away with this.
And I think it's so different too when, some of the best athletes in the world are playing at 100 miles per hour and a guy steps up and there's a big hit and everybody, this is what's wrong with the game. And, you come through and you get a slash or, it's just that, these are big men playing a fast game. You've got a second. It's the nonsense like the other night that it's just like, knock it off. This is the stuff that's got to go. This is the stuff that nobody wants to see. Even with guys turning their back along the boards, there's a lot of things, but when you can look at it and go, this is a hockey play. It probably was dirty. It wasn't dirty 30 years ago. It probably was dirty.
Yeah.
Players have to have a little bit more respect for each other and themselves and turn your back or something along those lines. Then just this is like put on a reality TV show.
Well, it's interesting. I think that Marshawn, Jari was owning him all night. Jari was an absolute brick wall. He then smacked that puck off Jari's stick when Jari was trying to give it to a fan. I don't know if any of you saw that clip.
I did not.
Yeah, he just went right behind him. Jari put a puck on his stick and was going to loft it out to a Penguin fan, and Marchand skated right up to him and whacked his stick and got the puck and then threw the puck out to center ice. So then Bergeron gets hurt. So Marchand's wires are going right now. And then with seconds remaining right before the Marchand punch, Jari gives a whack into the stomach of Charlie Coyle, and Marchand sees it, and then everything unfolds from there. But it is a guy that, he's a phenomenal hockey player that gets in these situations where he just can't help himself, and it's a shame. I mean, and I think that he's very outspoken of what he thinks about the NHL, and the NHL, for better or for worse, as much as we talk about how they're trying to change, still is an old boys network. If they don't like you, they will write you off. And what does it say that the NHL would rather have Tom Wilson in the All-Star game than Brad Marchand?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that actually says a lot about what they think of Brad Marchand. So,
who was the really big guy? What was the guy's name who got voted in as a joke, and then the NHL
John Scott
tried to like
Blackhawks legend John Scott.
Are you talking about the catcher from the Expos, Sean?
No.
Oh, the hockey guy.
The hockey guy, yeah.
Yeah,
John.
Nobody cares, Sean. Nobody cares.
If you called what he did playing hockey.
Oh, that's outstanding. Oh my God, that's great.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Right, can you hear me? 10-4, over and out. Can you hear me?
And it's the nonsense. That's what gets old.
Yeah, no, and I agree.
Hockey plays, you're just like, man, you hate to see it. We saw it this year with, you hate to see it, but when you step up, you make a hockey play, things happen. Guys are playing fast.
Right.
But when you're dirty, you're an idiot. And then after the play, you're an even bigger idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. One last food for thought. Do you guys have any parting shots before we break? And I was gonna throw out one more question out there that might be hot for debate that might keep us 5 more minutes.
That's all right. I got time.
Okay.
Yeah, I got time. I'll take my parting shot when it's time.
All right. This is a little bold, but Jonathan Toews is still on concussion protocol, is he not?
Yes, I believe he
not
is.
back skating. Have we seen the last of Jonathan Toews in the NHL? Is that too bold to claim right now?
I actually said, if I may jump in. I actually said this a couple of podcasts ago that it would not surprise me if his career was over. Now, I didn't know about the concussion was going to happen, but based on the way that he was playing, I just feel like he could potentially just hang it up and go on LTIR for next year and then call it a career. So, quite frankly, that would not surprise me at all. And now this may kind of push that thought over the finish line.
Right.
Well, let me bring up two names: Corey Crawford, Andrew Shaw.
Yep. There you
And
go.
both ended the same way, in kind of the same manner. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Like they were John and I, and a lot of you guys thought that maybe he may not come back this season.
Yeah.
That he might have been done before. So
He's got a history of concussions. Long-standing history of concussions. Now, I think he's got to be thinking about his long-term health here. And I think he might be right. Sad as it is.
No, and he's always worn one of those older Bauer helmets with the older padding, and I don't, I'm not a big helmet guru, but, those things are a little out of date. I don't know. You're going to get knocks on the head no matter what, but I don't know. I actually hope he does hang it up. I love watching him play, but go ahead, Ray.
It's tough, and he's so competitive that I could see him wanting to go out on that he wants to go out his way. Now, I'm not saying yes or no either way. I mean, you sit him down, listen, your brain, let's go. Friends, family, sit down. This is it. Whatever. But if he's cleared to play, I would say, boy, I think he's back out on the ice. Just how competitive he is. That this is what he does. He's competitive as heck, and he's going to go out. I'm going to go out my way versus they told me when to quit. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I have no idea. I'm not in the room, not in the trainer's room. I have no idea.
And that's the same thing that happened with Crawford. Like the Blackhawks tried to tell him he was done. He said, "No, I'm not done." He made it go playing in New Jersey, and it just didn't work out.
Yeah,
because that's it.
Does anybody see Taves as a future, coach, whether it be assistant head coach or head coach or GM? Do you think he's got that?
I don't know. I mean,
he's got to work with the media, but
he's going to have to work with the media.
Yeah, public speaking is on controversial issues is not a strong suit.
But I'm sure he could have a place in hockey if he wants one.
They would. I think the Blackhawks would offer him something immediately in the franchise, just if for nothing else, just to have his face around. Right. Hey, Jonathan Taves of the Blackhawks. Jonathan Taves, whether he's playing or not, people know that name. If he was to say today that he was hanging it up, tomorrow they're retiring his jersey and offering him a position in the organization
as an ambassador.
Something like that. Yeah. They have people in marketing that can help them work with the media. I'm not so worried about that. There's a lot of people that were very unfinished or unrefined, earlier in their playing career or what have you, with that when they, when things came to, for them to retire and move somewhere else, they were able to do it just fine.
Yeah.
Join the GM search committee.
Yeah.
Good. He nominates
GM. Hell.
It would be so painful.
He'll be special assistant to the GM.
That's what they're going to do. They're going to announce it this summer. They're going to say, unfortunately, Jonathan Taves is going to retire, but the good news is he's our new GM.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be assistant to the general manager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of the regional manager.
Yeah, that's tough. It's just so competitive, man. And then these guys to get to the highest level. I mean, he 3 Stanley Cups captain. He left it all on the ice. Let me go out my way. I can see that happening.
For sure.
Right answer, but
for sure.
And then you retire his number, like you said, the day after you retire Larmish.
First ballot Hall of Famer. First ballot Hall of Famer. I would assume.
For sure.
Yep.
We'll go in right away. But I don't know. I just don't. I just really. I don't know. It's obviously it's not up to me. It's not up to him. It's not up to anyone but him. But I wouldn't mind seeing him hang it up as opposed to seeing a very slow demise over the next 3 years or something. Would be really tough to witness. So
especially we know so much more. I mean, we're only in our 30s and 40s, and think back 20, 30 years ago when it was just shake the cobwebs out, get back out there.
Right.
My ears are ringing. Can't hear you, coach. Speak up.
This is Ray. This is me and Ray on a daily basis. We're like this.
Yeah,
now.
right. I can't even hear you. What? No. So I mean, all joking aside, I mean, it's just the stuff. That's why I say you hope the people around him are going to make the right decisions, help him make the right decisions. But I wouldn't be shocked.
Right.
And generally, he's known as like, being very into, the health and all that stuff and the good eating and all that. So like, if there's any doubt, like he would be like, if he was to say, hey, I care about my health. I want to live a long, healthy life after hockey. I'm going to be done. It wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Yeah. All righty. Well, positive vibes for Jonathan Taves. Who knows?
Absolutely.
We might hear in the next couple days that he's cleared and he's coming back for all we know. But at any rate, tough to see him out. Always tough to see him out. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Hawks next few weeks. Trade deadline is approaching. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on, and hopefully they're a factor.
They'll be a factor one way or the other. Either because they don't do anything or because they do do something.
Well,
Or they hire the wrong guy.
yeah. Hopefully a relevant factor, I guess is.
If they hire somebody like right before the deadline, that would be the dumbest thing to do.
If they hired a Shirelli for the general manager, that'd be the dumbest thing.
After all this, if they go with Shirelli, oh my God.
I can't see it happening.
No, it's not.
Next year's first for Giroux.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. At any rate, good to see you all. And one last shout out to our sponsor here
It's down there.
www. Puck Hockey. PUCKHCKY.com. Discount code the Rink in all caps for 10% off. 100 quid gets you a free t-shirt. So do it. Good stuff.
Quid. You pulled out quid.
Pulled out quid.
Nice.
Every now and then when you read this thing 100 times over, you gotta.
I can't. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at the captions after this gets done being recorded. And I want to see where it says quid at the bottom of the screen because
I think we're gonna put it in there. I think so.
So my parting shot, by the way, is Blackhawks fans, calm down about Drew Comesso. He beat the 32 ranked team in the world. 32. China's not good at hockey.
Quid.
He's not good. He's not going to be the Blackhawks goalie next season. Calm down.
How many teams are there? Is that top half?
I don't think
No
so.
idea.
They're
I
ranked
think it's-
32. There's 30 of them.
Yeah, I will give a quick shout out.
The top half team of the world.
Yeah,
I will give a quick shout out though to Simon Chen on Team China who played here at Brooks School.
Beautiful.
Now on Team China, who's suffering an 8-0 defeat last night, but a great kid. Go get him, Simon.
There are 55 teams ranked by the IIHF. 55.
That's
55.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a lot.
Pretty good.
and the best of them is an AHL All-Star team probably at that level right now.
At that, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it was the youngest goalie though to start in for the Americans in an Olympic hockey game. 19 years young. That's kind of cool.
That is cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it was cool what he did, but the Blackhawks fans need to temper their enthusiasm a little bit.
Yeah.
The comments,
Development.
development. If you read my prospect piece, it's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, read Shawnee's prospect piece, everyone out there. Great stuff.
As I like to say, they're all prospects until proven otherwise.
So does that include Kirby Doc then?
Yep.
That's a whole nother show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do Doc next week again.
We'll
did
get-
score. Yeah.
He did score, yeah.
He did score. All right. Well, take care, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for joining us, those who are out there listening. And we'll be back. Go Hawks. Take care, everybody.